who work towards this goal. And as you embark on this very important workshop this week, I wish you all the greatest success. Zikomo Kwambili.
Thank you very much. So I was right, considering the Mulibwanji that you gave that is from the Eastern Province. Okay, all right. So before we lose you, the media people are delighted to have you here with us. Can we ask that maybe the high table, the dignitaries in the front, just come to the front to take a picture so that the media don't have any gaps, and then we'll do a group photo later on that we have in our program already. Would that be fine? Yeah? Can we have all the dignitaries in the front, please? I'm not too sure if we can move this, or the media persons, please do make your way to the front to come and take the picture that you'd like. I think it would be good to have this backdrop in that shot. So I don't know if we take this out or... Okay. So I understand the lighting here is not very good, so maybe we do it outside. So I can identify a spot outside. Okay. There's an argument that maybe that might be a bit cumbersome. Yeah? And the dignitaries agree. Okay, so can we have this with the backdrop here? We'll work out the lighting. Please do make your way. We'll make the lighting work. We'll smile. Ending child marriage.
Okay, I think so.
Okay, thank you very much. Nobody here to help. Okay, so we resume our normal programming. Okay. All right, so at this point, we will go back to the normal programming on our welcoming remarks and official opening remarks. And now I'll have the honor and privilege of inviting His Royal Highness Chief Chamuka of the Lenja people, who's shown Chief Madimawa? Okay. Both of you? Or he will do it? Yeah? Okay. So it's rather Chief Madimawe, the fourth. Yeah? Thank you very much. Please do make your way to the podium.
Thank you, Director of Programs. Allow me also to ride on the existing mentioned protocols. I'm standing here not with so many words, but first to appreciate the support from the organizers of this event and all the partners. I am speaking on behalf of all the foot soldiers. We are the foot soldiers because that's where the implementation is taking place at the chiefdom level, or what you would want to call the sub-district. I am regional convener for KOTLA, which is the Council of Tradition and Religious Leaders of Africa, which was launched in Addis Ababa. This is a Pan-African organization that helps the tradition and the religious leadership to fight all the social injustices at the community level, and also it is a vehicle that we are using to work with all the governments in Africa. We normally convene to look at whether what we are doing is making sense or not. I'm sure we are in this room, all of us, to look at one thing, which is how. I'm sure everybody has this, how. Are we making progress or not? I think on the traditional leadership perspective, we feel we are making headways, but the challenge still lies at our continuous treatment of symptoms, because when you look at the SADC model law and also how the bylaws have assisted a few of our chiefdoms that have the bylaws, like the Chamuka chiefdom, my brother there, His Royal Highness Chief Chamuka, is quite strong, and they've got a set of bylaws that speaks to everything that concerns the people, more especially the marginalized, the women, the young girls, and also people with special needs. The challenge is what you see, what you read in those bylaws are issues that you are going to practically find when you go across villages. That is the main challenge, and that is why we are all gathered here to see whether the medicine that we drank is giving us some positive healing or not. We are looking at teenage pregnancies, child marriages, maternal health, and also not forgetting issues to do with child labor. These are key and so problematic in our chiefdoms. The only way out is changing the mindset, positive mindset change. And even if we have got a number of good laws that have been formulated across the region, and also bylaws, but if the mindset of that poor person in the village is not changed, definitely whatever we are all doing here is just a waste of time. Therefore, my appeal is to call for all of you who have been supporting, who have continued to support us, to focus your support directly to where things are happening, and that is the community level. Many people sometimes would condemn. In business language, there's what they call middlemen. And sometimes when you use middlemen, the end result is not always as expected. I'll share with you a small story which happened in 1988. When I was sent to go and buy Miri meal somewhere in Matero using a wheelbarrow. So at ZCBC, which was a government shop, the Miri meal was costing 37 kwacha, 13 ngwe, and another shop outside, which was a private shop, the Miri meal was at 38 kwacha. Same brand, and that time it used to be Choma Meeting. So now if I buy at ZCBC, the balance to make 38, because I can still buy at 37 and take the change, because that time they had introduced the 50 kwacha notes. So I'll get a few coins and say we've gotten the meal at 38 kwacha. Whilst I was still pondering, then two gentlemen came and said, do you want to buy Miri meal? I said, yes. Then he says, oh, our uncle has just brought a truck. That was now in the compound in Matero. So if you want, you can buy actually at 35 kwacha. Now, looking at the difference that I'll make for myself, we decided to follow those two gentlemen. Then we stopped closer to the houses. He left us. When he went there, he said, we have actually moved 150 kg bag, and my uncle has refused to give us the minimum. He says he wants to see the manifest. So he said, let's go and pay. He says, no, there are dogs there. So we ended up giving him that 50 kwacha, and we waited the whole day. And that's how that 50 kwacha went, because there were dogs there. And when we went now, just breaking in to go and check what was happening. And when we asked the lady near that same house. We found her selling fritters. Says, no one sells mini meal here. We only sell fritters. Say, what about dogs? Says, no, there are no dogs here. So this sometimes can relate to middlemen in between, to areas where the support is supposed to go, and yourselves, the owners of the resources, I think sometimes try to go and see directly where your resources are being pushed in, where it is making sense or not. And we would want to call upon you to emphasize and increase the support towards community outreach programs. We need to talk, engage, because for us to change the mindset, it might not be overnight. And also, despite the currents of influence that we have as traditional leaders, you cannot bulldoze. You can make those pronouncements. Maybe out of fear they will follow for a week and then they'll forget. So the message should be a message that will sink in the minds of our people to say, this is not right, the right way is this one. And it will take time. So we are calling for that support. And also, we need to look at chiefdoms that are doing very well in terms of chiefdom secretariats, because there is need to see where we are going, how data is being captured, and how we can measure our success, whether what is being implemented is taking us anywhere. There have been a number of guidelines being formulated, and recently, a few days ago, we were looking at a framework which was developed, and this framework at SADC level, it can help because it speaks to traditional leaders, it speaks to religious leaders, it also speaks to the young people, how they can engage the powers that be, that is the traditional leadership, the religious, and also government. So we have enough laws. In Zambia, we have the 2022 Children's Code Bill, which speaks to almost a number of issues. And the only remaining thing is to implement. But the question is, are you going to be just talking to a few of us? If you want to talk about child marriages, teenage pregnancies, in your minds you think of, let's go to His Holiness Chief Chamuka. He receives visitors almost every week to go and learn what is happening and what they are doing. What is happening to the neighboring chiefdom of Chief Irritator? You think of coming to Eastern Province, in your mind, Chief Mazima would come in your mind, Chief Tenes Kawaza, very few of those. But what about these others? I think we are not doing enough. It's high time now we begin to escalate. Let us look at what these chiefdoms, what they are doing. What is it that they are missing? Because there are certain things that we might not be doing well, comparing to the Chamuka chiefdom. So if you get the positive from there, also look at what is happening in Mazimawi, then we put together all the workable interventions, then implement as a pilot in those chiefdoms that are not doing well. And also what normally gives you problems. I don't know where the fear comes from. Because if you come, we initiate a program, the issue will be, Your Royal Highness, this program that we have rolled out in your chiefdom, what are your people saying? No, our people, they are saying by December, we'll be at the next level. But when that December comes, no one comes back. We need to be accountable. Accountability is key. The only chiefdom, because Chief Chamuka has been converted, Chief Mazuma has been converted, you can talk to at any time. But these others who are not converted, you fear to go to ask them, Your Royal Highness, you and your communities, your chiefdom, you gave yourself this period to say by this period you would have eliminated all forms of gender-based violence in your chiefdom. Can you tell us, can you show us how far have you gone? Because there must be practical evidence. If you go unannounced in a chiefdom, start asking questions. Ask people, what do they know about gender-based violence? People should begin to explain. Sometimes you send people to Chamuka chiefdom deliberately to ask a small girl in the village to say, we are looking for a girl to marry. And then hear the response. That will show you that things are happening. So in these other chiefdoms, I think there is need. Because if you wait, if we wait, that they are going to realize, then 2024, 2025, all these years will go and we will still be here preaching to ourselves. It's like a conference of bishops. Preaching to ourselves. What we need is that lost soul out there, that traditional leader who is not active. We need to target those. You and ourselves. Let's target them. They are not difficult. I remember when we had the torch, anti-GBV torch, which moved about over 2,500 kilometers. It started in my chiefdom. That was in the year 2017, where we signified that we have banned all forms of violence in the Mazimawi chiefdom. We moved that torch. I passed it on to Chief Mbangombe Katete. That torch moved to, I think, Petauke. From Petauke, it moved to Nyimba, Chief Ndake. From Nyimba, that torch moved to Southern Province, Chikankata, Chieftainess, our lady in Chikankata, Chieftainess Mwenda. From there, it moved to Dundumwezi, Chief Chikanta. Chief Chikanta took the torch to Western Province, to the Litunga Lamboera. From there, the torch moved to Central Province, the neighboring chiefdom, Chief Liteta's chiefdom. He moved it to Copper Belt, Senior Chief Chiwala. Senior Chief Chiwala took the torch to Chinsali, Senior Chief Nkula's palace. That's where the torch ended. But from that time, we have not gone back to these chiefdoms to see. And also, we have slowed down because in Central Province, we have my brother, Senior Israel is Chief Chamuka, who is also our vice chairperson in the House of Chiefs. But also we had the Chief Liteta. But because of some minor incidents that happened to the palace at Chief Liteta's palace, all of us, all of you, have moved away from him. Don't we have that forgiving heart? We need him. So I've said it publicly, but because the incidences were on TV, so we need him. I'm sure there are even people in the church who sometimes derail, but they come back. So he is alone. He needs somebody. In Eastern Province, I've got Chieftainess Kawaza and a few chiefdoms that are coming out. Kapatamoyo, Chanje, Maguya, a few of those chiefdoms, and Msha who are doing very well. Now, there in Central Province, my brother is like a single orphan. We need many. So that is my appeal to you, and I call on you that we need to work together. all the programs that are being formulated, we must work together to avoid reinventing one thing all over. So I can see that's how you tell us to stop. Thank you very much.
Wow, very inspiring speech. Sorry, when you said I call on you, I thought you were calling on me. So, yes, that's why I moved. Yes, very inspiring. I'm inspired by the torch. I'm hoping that after this meeting, we will light a torch again to end child marriage. Thank you very much. Okay, so we have listened to a number of very motivating, very inspiring remarks. We're happy to have the Royal Highnesses here, who, as he said, are foot soldiers. They've been championing the fight to end child marriage at community level, and they've done inspiringly well. But like we've been challenged, we need to go beyond the Conference of Bishops, right, and bring in those that are outside the fold to champion an end to child marriage. Okay, and we've also listened to the ambassador of Sweden to Zambia, and we all know Sweden's contribution to not just the fight to end child marriage, but also to human rights in general. At this point, I'll invite Ms. Nana Zulu, who's Regional Director at HIVOS, to provide us her remarks for this morning. Please join me in welcoming her to the podium.
Good morning, all. Allow me to ride on the protocols already observed and simply say, ladies and gentlemen, it gives me great pleasure to share solidarity remarks on behalf of HIVOS on today's regional convening on the implementation of the SADC model law on eradicating child marriage and protecting children already in marriage. We have heard from the previous speakers who have well elaborated the context of child marriage in the region and its impact on our girls and the larger community, our various countries, and the region as a whole. I am hopeful that the vision we carry will be a lived reality rather than an imagined ideal, and that hope emanates from the many steps that we're taking, starting from the shared commitment to uphold the rights of girls across the SADC region and to ensure that they can lead healthy, empowered, and productive lives, free from the devastating practices of child marriage as envisioned in the SADC model law. Child marriage, as has been said by previous speakers, is a violation of fundamental human rights that severely undermines girls' health, education, and overall well-being. It robs them of their childhood, deprives them of future opportunities, and perpetuates cycles of poverty and inequality. The impact of child marriage is felt not only by the individual girls affected, but also by their families, communities, and entire nations. As we know, when girls are denied the chance to reach their full potential, society as a whole is held back. Today we gather to discuss the critical importance of implementing the SADC model law on ending child marriage. This model law is not just a legal framework. It is a powerful tool that reinforces our collective commitment to safeguarding the rights of children across our region. It aligns very well with international human rights standards, including the Convention on the Rights of the Child, the African Charter on the Rights and Welfare of the Child, and the Maputo Protocol, all of which set the minimum age for marriage at 18, with no exceptions. The SADC model law calls on member states to uphold this standard, ensuring that no child is forced into marriage before the age of 18. It is a call to action for all of us to strengthen our laws, policies, and programs so that we can effectively protect our children and create a future where every girl can thrive. We have seen notable successes in this regard. In Zambia, for example, significant progress has been made in reducing levels of child marriage over the past 25 years. The Children's Court Act, as well as the amendment of the Marriage Act, represent major steps forward in safeguarding the future of Zambian children. Similarly, in Malawi, recent commitments by the President to harmonize domestic laws with the SADC model law and to finalize Malawi's national strategy for ending child marriage demonstrate a growing recognition of the need for decisive action, and these are just a couple of examples being made. These changes are results of concerted multi-actor efforts and policy engagements reflecting political will, engagement of the parliamentarians, traditional leaders, civil society networks, and the voices of rights holders themselves. We therefore cannot emphasize the need and the role of this impactful partnership and collaboration. As HEVOs, we support youth-led and youth-focused organizations, empowering young people to lead discussions on ending child marriages at both national and regional levels. Our work goes beyond advocacy for legal and policy changes, recognizing the need to shift the narratives and challenge harmful dominant attitudes and practices. Our work also recognizes the nexus between child marriages and sexual and reproductive health and rights. Child marriages often drives adolescent pregnancy and impacts the health and well-being of girls and young women and has negative impacts on their children as well. Therefore, addressing child marriages is essential for enhancing and ensuring access to quality, non-judgmental and affordable sexual and reproductive health information and services. I urge the SADC member states here present to utilize this model law as a guide to harmonize and improve laws and policies, and much more so to ensure the changes in social norms, attitudes, and practices, and to ensure evidence generation and documentation of best practices for effective implementation of laws and policies. In conclusion, let us reaffirm our commitment to ending child marriage once and for all. Let us work together to implement the SADC model law and to create a future where every girl can grow up free of the threat of child marriage, where she can dream, learn, and achieve her full potential. I thank you, Zikomo.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay, another hand for her, please. Thank you, Ms. Nala. Okay, so we have a number of partners that have joined hands to support this work that are dedicated to the cause to end child marriage. Some unfortunately could not be here, but they did send in already pre-recorded remarks. So at this point, I'll ask that our team, our media team, goes ahead to play, and we listen to remarks being provided by Ms. Nankali Maksud, who's UNICEF Regional Advisor on Child Protection. A hand for her. I know she's not here, but thank you.
And partners. My name is Nankali Maksud, and I'm the Regional Advisor for UNICEF East and Southern Africa Regional Office. It is with great honor that I address you today at this critical regional convening on the SADC model law on eradicating child marriage and protecting children already in marriage. It is a pleasure to see that this regional convening has brought together a diverse group of stakeholders, government representatives, parliamentarians, civil society organizations, international NGOs, and the UN, all united by a common goal to safeguard the rights and futures of girls and boys across the South. Child marriage is not just a violation of human rights, it's a practice that robs millions of children, especially girls, of their childhood, their education, and their future. It is saddening that today, globally, an estimated 640 million girls and women alive today were married in childhood. East and Southern Africa, our region, stands amongst the regions with the highest prevalence of child marriage. The region today is home to over 50 million child brides. While we have made significant strides in reducing child marriage rates across the Southern Africa region, we must acknowledge that there is still much work to be done. The adoption of the SADC model law on eradicating child marriage and protecting children already in marriage in 2016 was a landmark achievement. It provides us with a comprehensive legal framework to guide our efforts in eradicating harmful practice. Since its adoption, at least 6 countries have set the minimum age to 18 years without any exceptions. Through the UNFPA UNICEF Global Program to End Child Marriage, UNICEF promotes the rights of adolescent girls to avert marriage and pregnancy and enables them to achieve their aspirations through education and alternative pathways. The global program is generously funded by the governments of Belgium, Canada, Italy, the Netherlands, Norway, the United Kingdom, and the United States of America, the European Union through the Spotlight Initiative, and Zonter International. In East and Southern Africa, through the global program, we are addressing child marriage in Ethiopia, Uganda, Mozambique, and Zambia in collaboration with key governmental and non-governmental agencies. Our main initiatives include empowering adolescent girls at the risk of marriage or already married, engaging in families and communities to protect girls from child marriage and uphold their rights, strengthening availability and access to quality child protection, health, GBV and social protection services for adolescent girls, and advocating for national laws and policies and their effective implementation. However, despite these achievements, child marriage remains prevalent in many communities. Climate-induced shocks and conflict further increases the vulnerability of children, especially girls, to be forced into early marriage. In Southern Africa, the El Nino weather phenomenon is driving humanitarian needs. Its effect, mainly drought, contributes to children's vulnerability to dropping out of school as families are forced to prioritize food and water over education, leaving them more vulnerable to child marriage and other forms of exploitation. This convening is an opportunity for us to reflect on the progress that we have made, and we've made progress, to share best practices, of which there are plenty, and then to identify the gaps that still exist. It's a time for us to renew our commitment to ensure that every child, regardless of where they are born or grow up, free from the threat of early and forced marriage. The objectives of this regional meeting are clear. We're here to assess the progress made by SADC governments in implementing the model law, to strengthen coordination and partnerships among stakeholders, and to share effective practices that are scaled up across the region. Our discussions over the next few days will be crucial in shaping the roadmap for the full domestication and implementation of the SADC model law. We must also recognize that the fight against child marriage requires more than just legal frameworks. It requires a coordinated and sustained effort from all of us: government, civil society, international organizations, communities, and young girls and boys. We must work together to ensure that our interventions are well coordinated, adequately funded, and rooted in the realities of the communities we serve. As we begin this important convening, let us remember that our ultimate goal is to create an Africa where no child is subjected to marriage. The Africa we want is where every girl can reach her full potential, free from violence and discrimination. An Africa where the rights of all children are respected, protected, and fulfilled. Thank you for your commitment to this cause, and I look forward to the fruitful discussions in the days ahead.
Thank you very much. Well said there, with that reminder of the vision of the Africa that we want. Okay, so at this point, I'll also invite another partner, and remarks will be provided by Mr. Seth Brockman. Is that right? He's UNFPA Zambia Country Director, and he's speaking on behalf of the Regional Director for UNFPA, Ms. Lydia Zigomo. Please join me in inviting him to the podium.
Thank you. I was thinking also just to say I will write on the established protocols, but let me do it differently than to thank first the senior government staff to be here today. Also to thank Your Excellency, Mr. Johan Hallenborg, Ambassador of Sweden to Zambia. To thank the members of Parliament being here today with us. Senior traditional leadership, thank you for coming to Lusaka and share your experiences. Our great thanks, of course, to the representatives from different civil society organizations, particularly HIVOS and PLAN, under the coordination of Girls Not Bright, friends of the media, also youth leaders. Overall, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Welcome to Lusaka, to our visitors, and Makabwanji to our Zambian participants. On behalf of the United Nations Population Fund and the regional director said, particularly, I'm honored to join you at this critical regional convening with a shared commitment to address one of the most pressing human rights issues and a harmful practice across our region, which is child marriage. 30 years ago, the International Conference on Population and Development Program of Action set out to achieve a world in which human dignity and rights are placed at the heart of sustainable development. This vision has become a reality for many, but for millions of others, it remains out of reach. In the SADC region, child marriage and harmful practices persist as not only in violation of individual human rights, but as a barrier to sustainable development, including the aspirations and goals of Africa's Agenda 2063, well articulated in aspiration number 6. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, the SADC model law provides a comprehensive framework to eradicate child marriage and protect those who have already been affected. However, the true measure, as we've heard by different speakers, of our success lies in the effective implementation of this law across our member states in the region and beyond. UNFPA applauds you, honourable members of Parliament, for the sustained roles you have played and continues to play in providing oversight and, we've heard, accountability, advancing inclusive legislative actions, reviewing and enacting budgetary appropriations, as well as amplifying voice and representation to ensure collective acceleration towards ending child marriage. UNFPA further acknowledges the critical role of the SADC Parliamentary Forum in advancing parliamentary actions within and beyond the SADC region towards achieving rights and choices for all, including the development of the SADC model law in ending child marriage in partnership with UNFPA, among other partners. Excellencies and ladies and gentlemen, in December 2023, as we've heard, the Zambian Parliament made a historic breakthrough by passing legislation that prohibits individuals under 18 from marrying, including under customary law and parental consent. This monumental stride is key to safeguarding the rights of adolescents, particularly girls, in Zambia. And while the amendment of the Marriage Act provides a legal framework for ending child marriage, its implementation depends on two main issues that are currently being addressed. Firstly, awareness raising, and to ensure that all citizens know and understand the reason for and implications of the law. However, positive social norms change takes time. And when the country is currently facing its worst drought in over 40 years and many families left without income, child marriage will and has been considered an option to alleviate economic stress. This was communicated to me personally by a headman in Monse district, Southern Province, actually before the drought emergency, and it took place in November 2023. The man clearly stated that they were well informed, understood the harmful nature of a child marriage, and were convinced that alternatives should be made available. But they said, what are the alternatives if a family of 7 does not have access to food? Awareness raising and provision of alternative means to address poverty and food insecurity remains equally important. There are many good and promising practices in this regard, both in Zambia and in other countries, and require to be scaled up to allow no one to be behind. We are particularly delighted to have the Royal Highnesses with us today, who have been relentless champions for girls' rights in their chiefdoms and the country at large. Partnering with religious and traditional leaders is crucial to ensuring that girls' futures are protected, even in difficult economic times. Secondly, the recently launched summary report of the 2022 Population and Housing Census indicates that the proportion of adolescent boys and girls, meaning between the age of 10 and 90, stands at 26% and equals, therefore, 4.12 million adolescents. Many of those adolescent girls were married before the amendment of the Marriage Act and are still younger than 18. The second part of this meeting's title, Protecting Those Who Are Already in Marriage, is therefore an important element for which lessons learned and good practice should be exchanged, particularly in the context of the do no harm principle. Across the region, significant progress has been made towards achieving the rights, health and development of women, girls and young people, yet challenges remain. Only 37% of sub-Saharan African countries have laws covering physical, sexual, psychological and economic violence. Conservatism around sexual reproductive health and rights remains a critical issue in the region, compounded by ongoing anti-rights movements, furthering the pushback narratives. This situation underscores the need for sustained advocacy to universal access to SOHR for all, particularly for marginalized adolescent girls who are especially vulnerable to child marriage, adolescent pregnancy, and gender-based violence. Furthermore, the rise in climate-related induced emergencies within the regions has heightened the vulnerability of adolescent girls by impacting systems, community and household resilience, and contributing to an increase in the number of people on the move. Child marriage, gender-based violence, and adolescent pregnancy remain consistently high in the Eastern and Southern Africa region. The adolescent birth rate is twice the global average at 94 births per 1,000 girls, aged 15 to 19, compared to the global average of 44. And lastly, of the 20.8 million people living with HIV in the SA region in 2022, about 61% were women aged 15 years and older, which is equally alarming. These challenges highlight that, at the current pace and scale, we are unlikely to fulfill the promise of securing rights and choices for all, as outlined in the regional and continental commitments, such as the Addis Ababa Declaration on Population Development, which serves as a framework for SDG acceleration actions across member states. As this summit reviews the domestication implementation of the SADC model laws of ending child marriage and the use of tracking mechanisms such as the Regional Parliamentary Model Laws Oversight Standing Committee, it will be critical to apply the lessons learned over the past few years to inform planning. Additionally, foresight planning will be essential to fast-track implementation, enforcement, and accountability mechanisms across member countries. Ladies and gentlemen, here are 5 critical areas for acceleration that we all should pay attention to. Transformation of social and gender norms and power relations, including by promoting positive masculinities and strengthening the role of civil society, feminist, faith-based, and grassroots organizations and activists. Promoting inclusive legislative reforms to enable multi-sectoral investments that enable universal access to sexual reproductive health and harnessing the demographic dividend. Thirdly, timely, high-quality, and disaggregated data remains essential for high-impact targeted programs to ensure we leave no one behind, starting with the furthest behind. Fourth, ensuring resilient and responsive systems that are able to deliver on regional and continental commitments for ending child marriage, including being more resilient to shocks, disruptions, and risks that have the potential to constrain the fulfillment of the economic, social, political, and cultural rights. Lastly, securing long-term domestic financing to ensure sustainability, effectiveness, scalability, and impact of response at policy and community levels. UNFPA, in collaboration with the SADC Parliamentary Forum, reaffirms its commitment to the full implementation of the SADC model on child marriage, including to regional initiatives such as the UNFPA-UNICEF Global Program on Ending Child Marriage, as well as the Safeguard Young People Program, and national programs such as the Sweden-funded Gender Adolescent Pregnancies and Social Norms Program, better known as GAPS, in Zambia. Further, UNFPA remains committed to strengthening partnerships and coordination at both country and regional levels, engaging with multilateral and bilateral organizations, civil society, and young people to harness the demographic dividend. I was specifically tasked by the regional desk director, Lydia Zigomo, to say a specific thanks to the Secretary General of the SADC Parliamentary Forum, Ms. Boemo Sagoma, to appreciate her immensely. Her zeal, passion, and determination are worthy of emulation, and we would like, my regional director specifically, would like to thank her for that. Myself, I would like to thank you all for your attention, and I wish you fruitful deliberations. Sicomo, merci beaucoup, obrigado, Santi Sana, thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Seth Brockman from UNFPA. So we've heard a number of encouraging remarks, a number of confounding statistics, some motivations, also some forward thinking in the different remarks. And we're hoping that the next 3 days will help us to contribute to the fight towards ending child marriage, and that the shape of the future will change because of the 3 days that we'll spend together in here. But at this point, we realize that you've been sitting here for a while. I think we can pause a little bit and refuel. Yeah? So we'll break for tea, take a health break. I'll ask that maybe just so that we have some normalcy outside, we ask that the dignitaries in the front rows perhaps go ahead of us and collect your coffees, teas, and take your health break, and then we'll follow shortly after, once the tables have cleared. Would that be okay? All right, so I'll ask that the dignitaries in the front 2 rows, front 3 rows are ushered out to the tea tables. Okay, so for the next 5 minutes, perhaps we can just network and talk to each other. We haven't forgotten about you. We'll listen to some music, and then we'll make our way out once the dignitaries are here at the table.
can feel the sun beneath the dirt and the sticks and shield. The ocean beyond wants to make a good deal. Gravity is pulling me down the hills, and I fight it, oh, I fight it.
check, 1, 2. Mic check, 1, 2. Two, testing mic check, 1, 2. Sound check, 1, 2. 1, 2. 1, 2. Testing mic check, 1, 2.
Okay, can we resume? Can we resume? Can we have everybody back in the meeting? Okay, let's resume. Let's get back in the room. We have refueled. We have re-energized. We are satiated. Can we come back in the room? Can we come back in the room? Can we come back in the room, please? Okay, so we have the privilege of having the Minister of Justice here. So we'll usher her in a little bit. We'll usher the Minister in. Let's move the floor now. And then proceed with the program. Did we enjoy our teas? Amazing. Which again later, okay? Okay, we'll give it another minute or two. Okay, so while we get organized with the government officials coming to provide remarks, we do have virtual remarks, I think pre-recorded video by Ms. Boemo. Sorry, the mic is going in and out. Sagomo. We have Ms. Boemo Sagomo's remarks, who is the Secretary General of the SADC Parliamentary Forum. So we'll play those remarks and listen to them, and then we'll proceed with the following agenda. Ms. Boemo, please give her a hand in absentia.
Good morning. Allow me to apologize for not being with you in person due to competing priorities. Good morning. Allow me to apologize for not being with you in person due to competing priorities that were unavoidable. I'm grateful that I'm able to deliver my message to you all through video, thanks to COVID. Honored members of Parliament, traditional and religious leaders who have graced this occasion, the Country Director of Plan International, Antoinette Ngoma, the head of Africa Engagement, Girls Not Bride, Nerida Ntamburi, the HIVO's Regional Director, Ms. Nana Zulu, representatives from the UN agencies, young people from SADC Youth Forum and the HIVO's Youth Advisory Panel, staff of National Parliament, staff of the SADC Parliamentary Forum, and civil society organizations, distinguished guests, members of the Fourth Estate, ladies and gentlemen. I bring greetings from the SADC Parliamentary Forum and express my profound gratitude for the honor bestowed upon me and the forum to deliver the keynote address for this crucial engagement. From the onset, allow me to preface my keynote address by alluding to the laudable entreaty from Theodore Roosevelt, who was unequivocal in his observation that, and I quote, "It is not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles, or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who's actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes short again and again, because there is no effort without error and shortcomings, but who does actually strive to do the deed, who knows great enthusiasms, the great devotions, who spends himself in a worthy cause, who at best knows in the end the triumph of high achievements, and who at worst, if he fails, at least falls while daring greatly, so that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who neither knows victory nor defeat." Close quote. Doubtless, as foot soldiers in the protracted war against child marriage, we too continue to face fierce battles, discouraging statistics, and stubborn cultural and religious practices. We are confronted daily by entrenched norms that resist change, communities where the cries of young girls are often drowned out by certain norms and traditions, and by systems that are slow to adapt and effect the change that we want in our region. Yet, it is precisely in these circumstances that Roosevelt's words resonate with profound significance. He exhorted us to embody courage and resilience, to step forward even when the path is fraught with challenges, and to embrace the noble pursuit of our goals with relentless passion. We, who are in the arena, who have chosen to confront these injustices head-on, must continue to strive valiantly, knowing that every effort, every small victory, and even every setback brings us closer to the triumph of the high achievement we desire. Needless to state, the zenith of our achievement is a child who lives without fear of betrothal, whose innocence and potential are safeguarded by a robust justice system capable of protecting those ensnared by the shackles of undue marriages. It is a future where SADC member states and citizens not only recognize but actively promote and protect the right of children, ensuring that their futures are bright, secure, and full of promise. This vision, ladies and gentlemen, is not merely an ideal, but a necessity for the future of our children. It is inextricably linked to the future of the SADC region. It is undisputable that when we empower our children, we empower our nations, And when we protect their rights, we secure our collective destiny. Honorable members, ladies and gentlemen, I therefore cannot overemphasize that this conversation could not have come at a more opportune time. Indeed, we stand at a crucial juncture, a critical juncture, where our actions today will shape the future for generations to come. In that light, I must commend the conveners of this crucial dialogue for their foresight in bringing us together to address this pressing issue. This platform provides us with an invaluable opportunity to take stock of the progress that has been made thus far in the implementation and domestication of the SADC model law on eradicating child marriages and protecting children already in marriage. It also challenges us to identify gaps, renew our commitment, and strategize on how we can accelerate our efforts to end child marriages before 2030, or once and for all. Honorable members, ladies and gentlemen, you may be aware that globally, an estimated 640 million girls and women alive today were married in childhood, with 12 million girls becoming child brides every year. These staggering numbers paint a somber and sobering picture of the scale of this violation of human rights. Sub-Saharan Africa is second to Asia, with 20% of child brides. Contextually, 1 in every 5 girls was betrothed or forced into marriage before the age of 18. The vulnerabilities of these girls was and remains a vulnerability that exacerbates poverty, conflict, and limited access to education and health care. This is what the UNICEF report of 2023 has revealed to us. Ladies and gentlemen, these statistics are not just numbers, but a representation of millions of young girls whose futures are compromised, whose education is cut short, and whose health and well-being are jeopardized. Each percentage points and reflects to a community where girls are deprived of their childhood, forced into roles they are not ready for, and often subjected to a lifetime of inequality and abuse. And this is often what drives Dr. Nyarazai, our Goodwill Ambassador previously, who indicated that naming is norming, and we must call child marriages for what it is. If it is not rape, what is it? If it is not violence, what it is? But it is time to change the narrative. Honorable members and ladies and gentlemen, long gone are those days when we focus solely on the gloomy statistics like those I have already illuminated. While these numbers are undeniably alarming, you may agree with me that such an approach often overshadows the remarkable strides we've made in combating this particular scourge of child marriage. Indeed, it is essential to acknowledge the challenges, but it is equally important to celebrate the progress and victories that have been achieved through our collective efforts. In recent years, we witnessed a growing momentum in the mitigation against child marriages across the globe. In our region specifically, legislative reforms have been enacted in many countries, raising the minimum age of marriage and closing loopholes that previously allowed child marriages to persist. Countries such as Zimbabwe, Malawi, Zambia, Lesotho, Seychelles, to mention only a few, enacted laws that criminalize child marriage. In some instances, the law has gone to criminalize all the parties that formalize such unions. Additionally, I cannot overstate the crucial role of grassroots movements led by courageous survivors and advocates in bringing the issue to the forefront of public consciousness. This invariably challenged harmful traditional practices and promoted the rights of girls. Similarly, international organizations and partnerships such as Plan International, Girls Not Bride, and many others have forged together and brought together various state and non-state actors to implement comprehensive programs that address the root causes of child marriage, such as poverty, lack of education, and gender inequality. More importantly, SADC parliamentarians, through the SADC Parliamentary Forum, have also had this symbiotic relationship with civil society, which provided a critical resource, technical expertise, and advocacy support, all of which significantly bolstered efforts in implementing and monitoring the implementation of model laws on child marriages through the Regional Parliamentary Model Laws Oversight Committees, which is a committee composing of chairpersons of all our regional standing committees. Furthermore, we are seeing more girls staying in school, delaying marriage, and gaining the knowledge and skills they need to build brighter futures for themselves and their families. We have seen community leaders and religious leaders, key figures in our society, who once upheld the practice, who are now becoming champions for change, advocating for the protection of girls and the promotion of inalienable rights, it's a tongue twister, inalienable rights of children. Essentially, these positive developments must be celebrated, and they are not isolated incidents, but are part of a broader transformative movement that is gaining strength across the SADC region. More significantly and specifically, you may be aware that, for instance, in the United Republic of Tanzania, they've made notable progress in reducing child marriage rates. Tanzania Demographic and Health Survey revealed that 37% of women aged 20 to 24 were married before the age of 18, down from 41% in 2004, which is the marked 4% decline over the past decade. 38% of SADC countries established 18 as a legal age of the majority, with no exceptions. Mozambique enacted the law on the protection and combating of premature unions, which are anchored on the SADC model law. Malawi amended its constitution in 2017 to remove a provision that previously allowed parents to consent to marriage of children under 18. This essentially harmonized the constitution with the Marriages, Death and Family Act of 2015, which already prohibited child marriages. More so, traditional leaders have taken a lead in championing the right of children, including annulling child marriages solemnized within their jurisdiction. In South Africa, the Department of Basic Education integrated comprehensive sexuality education into the mandatory life orientation curriculum for both primary and secondary schools, a crucial step in curbing child marriages by equipping young people with the knowledge and skills to make informed decisions about their health and relationships, thereby reducing the vulnerability of children to early and forced marriages. Zimbabwe, in 2022, took a significant step in protecting children by enacting a new marriage act that strictly prohibits marriages under the age of 18, including in customary unions, whether registered or not. The act further imposes imprisonment penalties for the violations. Ladies and gentlemen, honorable members, all these achievements are poignant reminders that our tireless exertions are not in vain. Each success, no matter how small, quintessentially embodies the power of collective action, personifies the commitment of those who refuse to accept the status quo, and epitomizes the audacity of those who dare to dream of a just and free world for our young girls. Therefore, the model law must remain our North Star, guiding our efforts and providing a comprehensive framework that aligns national legislation with the highest standards of child protection. Patently, the model law has inspired legal reforms, empowered communities, and catalyzed the creation of policies and prioritization of the rights of children and their well-being. It has also provided a benchmark for monitoring progress and holding governments accountable, ensuring that the promises made to our children are not just words on paper, but effectuated into meaningful change. To that extent, as we continue to implement and adopt the model law to meet the unique challenges of our respective countries, it is crucial that we remain vigilant and proactive, ensuring that this guiding light continues to illuminate our path towards a future free from child marriages. However, and crucially, we must absolve ourselves from the temptation of treating the model law as a statistic document. It is a Bill of Rights. In fact, we are enjoined to conjure a critical spirit that will remind us time and time again that it is a living, evolving tool that must be actively applied, monitored, and reinforced. As we embrace that spirit, the model law will become a powerful aide-memoire that with the right strategies, adequate resources, and collective will, we can overcome the deeply entrenched practices that threaten the futures of our children and the progress in our region. Honorable members, ladies and gentlemen, going forward, our focus must shift towards sustaining and scaling up these successes to ensure that they do not remain as isolated cases but form part of the broader societal and regional transformative agenda. That is why the SADC Parliamentary Forum associates with our serious vision as espoused in the theory of change of Girls Not Bride, which is, and I quote, a world without child marriage where girls can exercise their rights and achieve their potential, close quote. To achieve this, it is needless to state that we ought to be part of this movement. We ought to depart, and urgently so, from the long and winding road of endless dialogues that often remained as that. Dialogues we must detour into the narrow road of swift action, both on the legislative and policy frontiers, as well as enhanced visibility on the ground. This must be anchored on strengthened collaboration between state and non-state actors. The region simultaneously needs to be moved along with information, research, and evidence in terms of what is happening in our communities. We must create synergies that have limitless potential to propel progress across the region. Simultaneously, civil society organizations, community leaders, our religious and traditional leaders, and grassroots movements must continue their advocacy efforts, working closely with local communities to challenge harmful norms and empower girls with education and opportunities. It would be remiss of me to exclude the private sector, which has a critical role to play through a deliberative investment in programs that promote gender equality and economic empowerment. Ladies and gentlemen, moreover, effective monitoring and evaluation systems and frameworks are the sine qua non to measuring our progress and learning from those successes and setbacks. That is why we have a guide supporting the model law. We have a scorecard which is anchored on gender, and therefore we have this committee that should assist us in monitoring our setbacks. These systems and frameworks must be augmented by sound international cooperation agreements and knowledge sharing platforms such as this one. Undeniably, in this knowledge-driven economy, our region stands to benefit from the experiential realities of other countries and regions and have made significant strides in combating child marriages. Finally, without sufficient resources, even the most well-intended laws, policies, and programs will fall short of our achievements in achieving their goals. It is therefore important for us to make collaborations with budget offices in parliaments to confront challenges that our region has regarding domestic resource mobilization. It is important for us to work with committees other than those of health, to look at committees that are working on budgets, to look at committees that analyze the government budget so that we can make progress beyond the legislative front, beyond the advocacy and representation front. To that end, national parliaments, in discharging their budgetary role, must prioritize budget allocation towards initiatives that directly address the root causes of child marriages, such as poverty alleviation, education, and healthcare. This must extend to funding for the implementation and enforcement of legal frameworks, support services for survivors, and community-based interventions aimed at prevention. You'll all recall, honorable members and colleagues, that the model law advocates for child marriages to be voided. Where are these children whose marriages have been voided? What are we doing for them besides requesting that they are voided? Honorable members and ladies and gentlemen, as I conclude, let me remind you that yes, we can eradicate child marriages. Yes, we can enact legislative and policy reforms. Yes, we can protect those already in marriages. But let us now allow yes, we can to not just be 3 words. It should be our rallying cry, our hashtag in modern social media lingo, our movement. It must embody the fuel our collective efforts need. We are therefore enjoined to educate and inspire everyone with its meaning. Why? For youth. Youth are the future of our region, and they are indispensable stakeholders in the fight against child marriages. Their voices, their energy and innovation are critical to shaping a child marriage-free future. E must stand for empowerment. Empowerment is the foundation upon which strength and resilience are built. Therefore, our young girls and women must be empowered physically, mentally, financially, to effectively combat child marriages. S for sustainability and scalability. Lasting change requires solutions that grow and endure. Thus, any intervention we implement must be sustainable, scalable, adaptable across different jurisdictions in our region. W for willingness. The journey towards our vision will be challenging, but our collective mettle will see us through even the most turbulent times. E for engagement. The success we seek will be the result of continuous and meaningful engagements with a diverse array of stakeholders. In that regard, every conversation and partnership must move us closer to our goal. C for collaboration. In the wisdom of our forebearers, alone we may go fast, but together we can harness the collective power that propels us towards shared and consummated prosperity. A for advocacy. Advocacy is the catalyst for societal transformation, and hence changing mindsets and behaviors requires sustained advocacy at every level, particularly within our communities. And for negotiation, our objectives will only be realized through thoughtful negotiations, through diplomacy with duty bearers, ensuring that the policies and actions taken are effective and inclusive. So, hashtag yes, we can. This must be our battle cry as we continue in our quest to ensure that child marriages are relegated to the annals of our history, where they belong. May I therefore, and once again, take this opportunity to extend my deepest gratitude to the conveners of this critical engagement. Your bringing us together today is essential as we build the momentum needed to drive the movement forward. Further, I need not reiterate that the SADC Parliamentary Forum and member parliaments continue to open its doors to all stakeholders willing to partner with us in this and other noble endeavors. As the forum transforms into a regional parliament, it will rely heavily on the support and engagement of every stakeholder to ensure that it continues to lead and take charge in developing frameworks that will reshape the legislative landscape of the SADC region. Hashtag yes we can. And thank you very much for indulging me. I hope I took the 20 minutes I was allocated. This is quite long. If I was there in person, it wouldn't have felt so long. So my sincere apologies. And thank you for indulging the SADC Parliamentary Forum. I'll see you tomorrow in the afternoon as I join you for this important engagement. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Hashtag? Yes, we can. Thank you very much. So at this point, we have been joined by the Minister of Justice. We will have remarks. We have seen a lot of commitment. I think one of the things that keeps coming up, the resounding message from different partners, is that we need to continue collaboration. We need to continue working together for us to go far. And we have seen great collaboration around convening this discussion and this meeting for the next 3 days. A number of partners have spoken prior. We have had partners from UNFPA, from UNICEF. We've had the resident coordinator's office as well. Although they were not here present with us, they have shown their commitment. We have also seen great commitment from the government of Zambia, with a number of ministries represented here, but then also a number of PSs that have sent in their apologies for not being here with us physically, although they still showed their support for the meeting. So we have the National Prosecution Office present with us here today. Although they will not provide us remarks, they are here in solidarity for the fight that we are fighting. We also have an apology from the Ministry of Gender. They sent an apology in and reiterated their commitment to the meeting and to the discussions that we're having, and they have affirmed that they will continue to support any outcomes that come out of this meeting. So that shows their commitment to being with us. Unfortunately, the PS could not be with us because we, as a country, we've just recently lost a former First Lady, and the PS was at the funeral throughout, so she was unable to join us today. But beyond that, we have a number of ministries present here with us, and also the minister who's made time to join us straight from a cabinet meeting, just to show great leadership and commitment to the discussions that we're having here today. So thank you very much. It is much appreciated. At this point, ladies and gentlemen, join me in giving a warm welcome and heartfelt welcome to the dignitaries here present today. Now we have done different partners, the conveners, and other regional entities. But now we'll have remarks from the government of Zambia. At this point, we have seen the leadership and the commitment. It is evident and it is appreciated. And we feel that this does not only symbolize political will, but it also contributes meaningfully to changing the future of our children and our communities going forward. So let's give them a round of applause for that. At this point, I will invite the Honorable, not the Honorable, the Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Education to come and provide us her remarks. She will take 10 minutes because I understand that the Minister has got a commitment and she has to return to Cabinet Office. But the Minister of Education, Permanent Secretary. Sorry, just a minute. All right, so we've just been asked that because the minister has to return, she goes first. So, noting the urgency, I'll invite the PS for Minister of Justice, Mrs. Lemba, to please call upon the Minister for Minister of Justice. Thank you very much.
Good morning. Royal Highnesses here present, the permanent secretaries, the honorable members of parliament from the SADC region, from SADC Parliamentary Forum, then the permanent secretaries, the members of the diplomatic corps. I of course recognize the UNFPA country director, our good friend. I'll kindly request you to allow me to ride on the protocols already established in the interest of time. My job is very simple this afternoon. It is to call upon a phenomenal lady, an advocate for children, an advocate for women, a strong advocate for ending child marriages. I am extremely honored to call upon the first ever female Minister of Justice of the Republic of Zambia. I would like to call upon Honorable Princess Kasune, Member of Parliament for Kembe, and the Minister of Justice of the Republic of Zambia. Honorable Minister.
Well, let's be seated. If you know something about me, I love these meetings because they are really something that I'm passionate about, and I would love to be with you for all the time that you are all here. But unfortunately, I have to run back to the meeting that we have just left. Talking of commitment, our MC, indeed, it clearly shows you that His Excellency the President of the Republic of Zambia, President Hakainde Hichilema, he is committed to eradicating child marriage and indeed protecting children that are already in marriage. And we all know that he is a champion. So because of that, I was given that permission that I came, and we appreciate all those that have already spoken ahead of me. And I want to recognize the Royal Highnesses that are here so that, thank you. I want to recognize the Royal Highnesses that are here. These are my parents, my cheerleaders, my advisor, His Royal Highness Mansimawe, who is here with us, but also His Royal Highness Chief Chamuka, who's not only an advocate really, but a parent to me in the sense that he's one of our Lenje chiefs where I come from. So if you didn't know which tribe I am, because I speak a lot of languages, and I'm so proud of that because we are one Zambia. We are one Zambia, and we should preserve that. I long to see a time maybe where we even scrap off our tribal ties and just say, I'm Zambian, something like that. But the Royal Highnesses have to guide us on that. Maybe there is good about also celebrating our diversity, and indeed, of course, UNFPA, and this is no other embodied by our leader, Sef, who is the country representative. It's always a delight to see you and all that you do as UNFPA, and indeed all other partners that have already been spoken about. And of course, you know, if you've been a minister or you know anything to do with ministers, you know that they cannot do it without their permanent secretaries. So to all of you, whether it's education, it's foreign affairs, it's justice where we are now, we have Madam Lemba as well as Madam Walia. Excellent, excellent. I was just going through the papers, and with there I was being sewn in, and I think it became topical news to our media who are here that the president gave us a challenge in the sense that we are a ministry full of women. And he said, there's no need for you to blame the men now, because you are all women and we have to succeed. So we have told ourselves we are Team G, meaning Team Girls, and we shall not fail. And so with your support, we believe that we will do great, great, great things for this nation. But also we shall not fail because of all of you that are in this room who are great partners. And so I just want to salute you, all of you, regardless of your spheres of influence. I know there are members of parliament that have come from different countries. And of course, my own sister from Malawi, Honorable Rachel Rosby. We come a long way. We are in the SADC parliamentary forum where we all belong. And of course, our SG, who could not really stop herself, but to give us that well-informed speech. We are very grateful, and many others from SADC, Mr. Kurasha and Paulina and many others. And I was just excited to come back because I do enjoy being in these forums. As you know, I worked for World Vision for many years, and I used to speak a lot for the UN, especially UNICEF, USAID, UNAIDS, and I ran my own non-for-profit organization called Fountain of Life Africa. So this is my space. You anchor me, and I never want to stop being an advocate. So that is very important for me to speak to. Let me dive in the speech, and thank you, PS, for setting the stage for me. All the honorable members, as already alluded to, that are present from Zambia, Zimbabwe, Mozambique, and indeed our sister country, which is Malawi. We are grateful that you are here. The UN resident coordinator and all heads of the UN agencies also, we are so grateful for what you do. The European Union head of delegation, the Secretary General of SADC Parliamentary Forum that has spoken ahead of us, and indeed the Swedish ambassador that was here. Of course, I've already given all the honors that are due to not only our Royal Highnesses, but these are our champions long before some could even speak about these issues that we are passionate about in this room. They have been champions and making their own kind of laws within their own chiefdoms. So Chief Mazimawe and Chief Chamuka, we remain grateful to you. And of course, I've already alluded to the permanent secretaries that are all here. Again, these are my sisters, including the PS permanent secretary from education, but indeed the one that came with me this time, and that's PS Lemba, who is a permanent secretary for administration. The director of public prosecution, we are grateful that you're also here. The country director of Plan International, and indeed some of the staff from Plan International. Girls Are Not Brides, head of Africa Engagement. We are grateful. I met you earlier. Thank you so very much for that. The regional director for HIVOS. This is an organization that I've interacted with from the parliamentary caucuses that we have so many times. And of course, the head of civil society organizations, the young people. I would not end by not recognizing my own colleague and friend from the Zambian Women Parliamentary Caucus. He's our staff there, and that is Raphael Piri, that is also with us. I see Minister now. These are the issues. You give me the name, right? I am going to butcher. Could you say the name of our minister, please? From Mozambique? Where is our minister? Oh my goodness. Oh my, I feel like hugging you. Geronimo, thank you. My sister. Yes. Oh my God. Okay, I have to control myself. That was not good on me. Okay, thank you, my sister. Again, we are together in SADC Parliamentary Forum, so it's good to have you, Honorable Minister. And I also said that I would be remiss if I didn't acknowledge one of our staff that keeps us in check, especially in Mother Hat that I wear. That is the chairperson for the Zambian Women Parliamentarian Caucus. This is for all female parliamentarians. Of course, it is voluntary. But this is the one place where we all come together as female parliamentarians and discuss the issues that pertain to our situations. I want to say it earlier before I go to the fourth state, that is the media houses that are represented here. If there is anything that I want to be remembered of, is that I did put my voice that we need more women come 2026 in the Zambian election. We really need more women, not only at the parliamentary level, we need more women at the mayoral level and indeed at the councillor level. But that will have to depend on each one of us and all of us who are stakeholders in this room. And even more so, the men have to speak to this. Because if we keep talking to ourselves or keep advocating for ourselves, of course we will, because we have learned that sometimes we have to bring ourselves to the table than not wait to be invited to the table. But how beautiful if this can be championed by our men who are sitting in very important spaces, and to say we need more women in these political decision-making spaces, it will really go a long way. I have learned something since the U.S. run-ups started. I haven't really followed them until last night. I couldn't even sleep. I slept off maybe 02 somewhere, just trying to catch up. And all I heard is that the glass ceiling has been, is it cracked or shattered? It has been shattered. And so I heard someone say it's cracked and now we need to shatter it. Yeah? And others are saying it's already shattered. So the future of women is not tomorrow, it's the women now. And I want to add my voice to that. And so let's keep doing what we do best. And so it is for this reason that it gives me great pleasure to be here at the regional convening on the implementation of the SADC model law on actually eliminating or eradicating child marriage, but also protecting those who are already in marriage. What an important reason why we are here. And these are issues that are very close to my heart. As many of you know, child marriage is included in the Global Development Agenda, specifically in Sustainable Development Goal SDG number or target 5.3, which aims to eliminate the practices by 2030. And I love these targets, and I think they are very critical. But I think one of the things that I will challenge all of us to internalize them and to ask ourselves in Zambia, in Zimbabwe, in Malawi, how real can this happen? We know our families. You know, a country is formed out of our families. And so when you analyze your own family, how does it look like? How real is this likely to happen come 2020, 2030? In our region, the issue of child marriage remains a significant challenge. The Southern African Development Community, SADC, has one of the highest global prevalence rates, with an estimated 31% of young women and girls married before reaching the age of 18. This is alarming statistics that demands our urgent attention. And again, I have shared in a lot of forums that I was married at the age of 18, and I look back and realize how young I was. I remember clearly one time in Luansha, this is my personal story that I'm inserting here, a friend of mine who became a friend after I'd been married for some time,
ended up with 2 children. One I gave birth at the age of 18, and the other one followed just a year and a half later. And this lady was a little bit of our senior. She could have been maybe 5 years or 6 years my senior, maybe even a little bit older than that. And one day, Miss Chikasa, I remember her clearly, that she looked in my face, and you could almost see her tearing up. And she said, wow, this man didn't have to marry you. You were a child. And this was my friend, because now we are all married. But I will never forget how she looked in my face. And suddenly, because she was older than me, and the man I'd married was 42 years old and I was 18, and she said, you were a child. And here we are today. We are speaking to these very same issues. There is no business and there's no reason why our children should be brides. And this is of agency, and this needs our personal attention. You don't have to have my experience to be passionate about it. We all know the effects and the ramifications that follows because our children become brides or grooms. Let's not forget that. And so it is here that we say agent intervention is definitely critical. To address this, SADC member states have been urged to domesticate the SADC model law on eradicating child marriage. The model law provides a framework for member states to adapt international standards in combating child marriage and strengthening legislation to protect children's rights. The model law emphasizes that child marriage is not just a private family matter, but a public issue that requires strong policy measures and intervention from all stake members. And as we speak of this, we have to remember it's not just about eradicating child marriage, but it's also finding ways and means and doing no one harm, but by protecting those that, the children that are already in marriage. Zambia has made significant progress in this area. We have adopted the National Strategic Plan on Ending, National Strategy on Ending Child Marriage from 2016 to 2021, and the National Prevention Response Plan on Ending Violence Against Children 2021 to 2025. Through the 2016 to 2021 strategy did not meet, it has established a foundation with ongoing efforts, and I'll just highlight a few. As the Zambian Parliament, we has also enacted the following laws, including the 2016 amendment to the Constitution. This redefined a child as anyone below the age of 18, aligning with the international standards. And we know that a lot of challenges we had was actually the misalignment between our customary law and our statutory law. And these are some of the issues that we are proud of, that we have made that amendment. The Child Code Bill, Act number 12 of 2022 also, this consolidation, child-related laws and domestication, various international and regional instruments has also been one of our achievements as a nation. The third one that I would want to allude to is the 2023 amendment to the Marriage Act. This revision criminalized marriage involving a person under the age of 18, regardless of customary or statutory provision. Again, this is something that we have to celebrate here in Zambia, and indeed other states that have done similar interventions. The Education Act number 2023 of 2011, this act prohibits child marriage for learners and prescribes penalties for the violators, and I'm sure our Permanent Secretary from Education should be able to allude to the details of some of these interventions. These measures, aligned with the SADC model law, and are critical in fighting child marriage or the eradication of child marriage, but also protecting those children who are already in marriage. Challenges and way forwards. Despite these efforts, challenges are persistent, including weakened law enactment, because it's one thing to enact a law, it's another thing to implement it. And I think that is why we are all here at this very important regional meeting. Our culture norms that support child marriage and socio-economic factors like poverty, illiteracy, if I may add, are very critical for us to achieve what we have set ourselves for. And to overcome this, we all must, one, develop community-led programs to transform harmful social norms and indeed our harmful traditional norms. And that is why having the championship of the Royal Highnesses is very critical. Secondly, is to ensure citizen participation in social accountability frameworks, because it's there then that everyone will be part of the solution. And thirdly, is to empower families with knowledge on the dangers of child marriage and what a loss it is. I think sometimes it becomes easy for people to understand when they see the investment case study, if I may use that word without throwing it around, to say, if your child got educated or they grew up well, healthier, these are some of the medical challenges they can avoid, issues like HIV, which you know, again, I'm very passionate about, and I've been an advocate on that issue for many years, and the benefits that they will reap in the long run versus the short solution of seeing their children in marriage would help us tremendously. And fourthly, as I begin to conclude here, strengthening the coordination among law enforcement agencies and indeed other key stakeholders. And of course, I would add also community policing to ensure that violators are prosecuted and they are punished. There are tendencies in our communities to overlook such, should I say crimes, I guess, because sometimes it involves someone who's a breadwinner, and we ourselves sometimes are desperate to have an income from the very arranged marriage. And so we go quiet on it, or there's hush. And also we are scared that the families will be implicated, friendships will be affected, but we have to look at the bigger picture, what we are trying to save. In the interest of time, and I wish I could stay with all of you, I wish I could be here because these are very personal issues to me that I continue to commit myself to. Unfortunately, we'll have to run. In conclusion, the SADC model law, therefore, on ending child marriage and protecting those who are already in marriage provides a critical framework for protecting children against these very harmful practices, which we know that as SADC or Southern African countries, we sit high on the list. Zambia and other SADC countries have made recommendable progress in domesticating this and other relevant international instruments. However, much more work remains to be done. I hope that this very much engagement will renew our collective resolve to eradicate child marriage and indeed protect those children who are already in marriage, ensuring that our girls are not brides but remain children with their rights fully protected. And can I say our boys too? With these remarks, I declare this meeting officially opened, and I thank you for your very much attention, and I look forward to more deliberation with all of you. Together, not only will we eradicate child marriage, but we will find ways and means and the best solution possible for those children who are already in marriage and protect them. God bless you, and thank you very much.
Wow. Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. Standing ovation is in order. Thank you for sharing that very personal story and inspiring all of us and showing that there's light outside of child marriage. Thank you very much. At this point, can we pause for a group photo before we listen to the remarks from the PS from Education? So I think we'll do it in the front here. So we'll need some help, some manpower.
So due to the interest of time, we'll have the Honorable Minister, the Permanent Secretaries, the traditional leaders, the heads of the UNFPA head, the heads of civil society organization to take a picture with the minister, and then the rest of us will come later.
Right, as we do that, maybe what we did not say is that Honorable Princess Kasune is also the chairperson of the Standing Committee on Gender Equality, Women Advancement and Youth Development for the SADC Parliamentary Forum. And more importantly, she's also the chair of chairs. The Standing Committee, which deals with Regional Parliamentary Model Laws Oversight Committee. It's a committee that UNFPA mentioned, the Swedish ambassador mentioned, the Secretary General mentioned. It is responsible for tracking progress on domestication. So we make sure you catch the hem of a garment. Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, thank you very much.
Honorable Minister, thank you very much for taking the time to be with us and for gracing us with your presence. Let us please be upstanding as the Minister will exit and leave us. Thank you very much. Beautiful. Thank you very much. We recognize that the Minister has officially opened the meeting. We have the final remarks that will be provided by the PS Ministry of Education, who was gracious enough to hold on with her remarks to allow the Minister who's got pressing matters to attend to go ahead and open the meeting officially. So at this point, allow me to, something's causing feedback. Allow me to invite the Permanent Secretary for Ministry of Education, Ms. Noriana Muneku. Thank you very much. Please join me in welcoming her to the podium.
Thank you so much. I just want to recognize, I know in absentia, the Honorable Minister of Justice, even if she's just walked out, but I still want to recognize her because she was here, Honorable Princess Kasune. I also want to, at this point in time, recognize the two Royal Highnesses that are here, both of them, wholeheartedly. At least I've had an opportunity to interact with His Royal Highness Chamuka, because so many times I've met him in such forums. But suffice to say, the fact that Honorable Suffice to say, the fact that His Royal Highness Mazimawe is here, it means he's indeed a staunch advocate of issues pertaining to girls and children. I also want to recognize at this point in time the permanent secretaries. I'm sure it's here, but they are represented. Health and Community Development, I know they are represented. I recognize them. I also want to recognize the Director of Public Prosecution. I don't know whether it's in person or being being represented. SADC PF Secretary General, Madame Boemo Sekgoma, Youth Representatives, Plan International Country Director, Regional Director, HIVOS, the UN Resident Coordinator, UNICEF Country Director, UNFPA Country Director, Some have gone, I know, but I still want to recognize them. The European Union head of delegation, the ambassador of Sweden, heads of civil society organizations and NGOs, members of Girls, Not Brides, and partners of Plan International, HIVOS, distinguished guests, esteemed colleagues and friends, all protocols observed. It is a pleasure to join you today for the significant regional workshop. I want to extend our heartfelt gratitude to Girls and Not Brides, Plan International, UNFPA, UNICEF, the SADC Parliamentarian Forum SADC PF, and HIVOS for organizing this crucial event. Your collective dedication is instrumental as we tackle the pressing issue of child marriage. I also acknowledge, and I'm sure maybe you were thinking I was not going to, it was there in my speech, I also want to acknowledge the invaluable presence of government representatives that are here, parliamentarians, all the honorable members of parliament that are here, civil society, organizations, international partners, and donors. In fact, I've been made to understand there are other ministers from other countries. I just want to recognize you as well. And your combined efforts are vital in our transmission to end child marriage. The purpose of today's workshop is to evaluate the implementation of the SADC model law on eradicating child marriage and protecting those already in marriage. This is an essential step in assessing our progress and pinpointing areas for improvement. Zambia is steadfast in its commitment to eradicating child marriage and protecting those affected. We have made significant strides through legislative reforms, community programs, and educational initiatives. However, there is still much work to be done. This workshop provides a crucial platform for us to learn from each other and to strengthen our collective efforts. Education is a cornerstone of our strategy to combat child marriage. By improving access to quality education and supporting girls to stay in school, we also address one of the root causes of child marriages. Educated girls are more likely to delay marriage, have healthier families, and contribute positively to their communities. Ladies and gentlemen, our educational services are designed to empower girls with knowledge and skills and to foster a supportive environment that helps them realize their full potential. The Ministry of Education, therefore, guided by the Education Act number 23 of 2011, which the Honorable Minister also alluded to, ensures that education is equitable and inclusive. This act mandates that education institutions do not discriminate, but provides procedures to prevent gender-based violence. It prohibits giving off a learner to marriage and allows for the readmission of girls into school after pregnancy or any other situation whatsoever. Together with several other national policies and legislative provisions, government through the Ministry of Education is committed to provide education that is free for all and free for all forms of discrimination and violence, including child marriage. Several key interventions illustrate our commitment to ending child marriage, and these, if I can itemize, are as follows. Education for all policy. By eliminating user fees and covering exam costs at the secondary level, we in the Ministry of Education make more accessible the policy that enables learners, especially girls, to stay in school much longer and thereby reducing the likelihood of child marriage. Secondly, infrastructure development. Building safe and accessible school infrastructure also helps to ensure that girls can attend school without the risk of violence or harassment. This is particularly important in rural areas where long distances to school can be a barrier to education. And in fact, what we've done as a Minister of Education on this area is that in the past, the tendency was that children would travel many kilometers to access education. But as a ministry, we found it prudent that we should now start constructing weekly boarding schools. If we cannot be able to construct full boarding schools, we are at least able to now construct weekly boarding schools, and they're now all over the country, and we are still continuing doing it in phases to just ensure that our children are able to stay in school and maybe be able to go to their homes over the weekend and back. Thirdly, school guidance and counseling unit. This unit provides critical support to learners, addressing issues like gender-based violence and offering counseling by creating a safe and supportive environment in schools. We help prevent situations that might lead to child marriage. And I think counseling is cardinal, because children that are not knowledgeable over such issues that pertain to them and that are negative, they become prone to such kind of vices. So what we do, we are offering out guidance and counseling to make sure that they understand what is at stake, what is good for them, and what is negative for them. Re-entry policy. This policy allows girls who have dropped out of school due to pregnancy to return and continue their education. It addresses one of the key reasons for school dropouts and helps ensure that teenage pregnancies do not lead to early marriages. Keeping girls in school, that is KGS, this is very dear to my heart because I've seen the strides it has made, how positive it's been for the Minister of Education and the country as a whole. This came into effect since 2016. The initiative has supported over 150,000 girls across Zambia, helping them to stay in school and avoiding child marriage. By focusing on girls' education, we address one of the most effective ways to prevent the child marriage. In this sector, it doesn't matter where the child is coming from, whether the child was married before, whether the child was pregnant and now has decided she'll go back to school. This is what actually keeps our children, because we pay for them, we cover all educational necessities that are required, and all fees stretching from secondary right through to the university for as long as this child is interested in going back to school and attaining an education. In fact, come January 2016, because this project has been fundamental and extremely successful, we have decided with the cooperating partners that we are now going to extend to all districts in the whole country. Menstrual hygiene management, providing appropriate facilities and sanitary products, ensures that girls can attend school regularly without interruption. This support helps to keep girls in school and reduces the risk of them dropping out and being married off early. In fact, you know, you might think that the cost of a sanitary towel is not cardinal. In rural areas, it is. You find that our children who don't have such kind of necessities just stay away from school, because when that time comes, when this period comes, they are embarrassed, they feel they will not be themselves, they will feel that they will dirten up their clothes and so on. So the government has come up with a policy. Every single year now, we have a budget line for menstrual hygiene sanitary towels. And the government has been providing without fail 30 million kwacha every year goes to sanitary towels for our children. And I think we are advocating the fact that it should spread, it has spread all throughout the country, but we wish we could have more money. And I think the government is doing that because they've been increasing each year that comes. This goes a long way because then it comforts the young child, the young girl that's in school, that she's actually okay, and there'll be nothing that will hinder her from actually enjoying being in class while at the same time being comfortable, that she's going to actually go through class without messing herself. Homegrown school meals program. By providing meals to learners, we improve school attendance and participation, because a well-nourished child is more likely to stay in school and thereby delaying marriage. In fact, this is also cardinal and very dear to my heart. We began very small as a Minister of Education, but now it's big. And with the coming in of the drought, which was unforeseen, what has now transpired is that we are now going to ensure that every single district is covered, every single school is covered with school feeding programs. And this is now the new narration ever since the drought issue came into effect. We've discovered that a child who knows very well that is going to feed while in school is ready and excited to be able to attend classes. Because in any case now it's even worse. If there's a drought in the way it is right now, it means that even the home is lacking where food is concerned. What more? Trying to force that child to go to school on an empty stomach. So the government has found it prudent, together with cooperating partners, that every single school now will be subjected to school feeding programs. Alternative modes of education provision. This initiative expands access to education for those who are out of school, including school dropouts and those who have never attended school, by offering alternative education paths. We keep children engaged and reduce the risk of early marriages. And I think this comes in very different forums. We've come up with different programs that cover alternative modes of education. We have a full-fledged directorate that just covers classes held online, classes held on radio, so that even if a child was sick, was not able to, for one reason or the other, they are kept going because they will not miss out on any classes through listening to alternative modes of programs that are taking place in class. Bursary support. Bursaries for vulnerable and orphan children with special consideration for girls and those with special education needs help ensure that financial barriers do not prevent children from continuing their education. I think this, we all know as a public, that bursaries have been introduced ever since the new government came into place. Whether it's at college level, there are some through CDF, or whether it's at university level, we have now introduced bursaries for our vulnerable children. I know as a government we can do better, and we are striving to do better to be able to make sure that every single vulnerable child is given a bursary. But we found a proper system of identifying who is a vulnerable child and who's a child that is well able to actually not access bursaries. So there's actually a mold now at the Loans, Hillsview, the High Loans institution, where now we've even said that the girl child should also be given priority, notwithstanding where they're coming from, especially if they are vulnerable, that they have to be given bursaries to be able to make sure that they continue with their education. So, distinguished guests, our government remains unwavering in its commitment to ending child marriage. We recognize the crucial role that these interventions play in creating a safer, more equitable future for our children. Despite the progress we have made, we continue to face significant challenges, such as limited funding, distance to support services, negative cultural norms, and the heavy burden on school guidance counselors, all that impact our efforts. And additionally, high rates of teenage pregnancies contribute to girls leaving the school system, which can increase the risk of child marriages. But I'm glad, in fact, that's why I just give accolades to our Royal Highnesses, because they are helping us. These situations occur in most cases in the rural areas, but now they've decided they will team up and be the advocates of such kind of vices. And we are so truly grateful that there's this change of thinking and the change of knowing that our children need to go to school from the time they get into primary school right through to tertiary for as long as they want to be educated. Looking ahead, we must focus on practical solutions and actionable strategies at both regional and national levels. I therefore want to encourage everyone to share insights, experiences, and best practices to overcome these challenges and to achieve our common goal. In conclusion, therefore, I reaffirm on behalf of the Minister of Education and my Honorable Minister, our dedication to ending child marriage and ensuring that every child has the opportunity to thrive in a safe and supportive environment. I want to thank you for your participation, your unwavering commitment to this cause. I look forward to the outcomes of our discussions and to continued progress in our shared mission. At this point, I just want to say thank you so much. The support that comes from the Minister of Education is beyond measure. I think we are all in support, right from the Minister. If there are people who've heard my Minister speak about a girl child, I think he is an advocate, without a doubt, of a girl child, making sure that she attains her education without any impediments. Thank you so much, and may you enjoy your deliberations in the next coming 2 days. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Another round of applause for her, please. Very encouraging to hear everything that's being done by the government of Zambia and the Ministry of Education towards addressing the issue of ending child marriage. The microphones are struggling at this point. I think it's because it's almost lunch. It doesn't help matters that my voice is very low tone, so I hope that you can still hear me well. As we come to the end of our official ceremony for opening the sessions for the next 3 days, allow me to invite a young person who has a vote of thanks on behalf of the youth, Ms. Nasante Margaret Nakamba, who's the HIVO's Youth Advisory Panel member. So please, Margaret, join us and provide us your vote of thanks. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I would like to write on the protocols already observed, and it is an honor and a privilege to stand here as we convene for this prudent and enriching meeting to deliver the vote of thanks on behalf of children, young people, and organizers from the 16 SADC member states. I extend our deepest gratitude to our esteemed leaders for insightful keynote addresses, speaking to the valuable insights, significantly contributing to the milestones of eradicating child marriage and protecting children who are already in marriage through the SADC model law, and having provided us much to reflect on. While significant progress has been made on creating an enabling policy environment with SADC having well-capacitated, beautiful written policies and protocols, there is need to implement and enforce these instruments from the grassroots. It is imperative for governments and decision makers to customize the model law, taking special emphasis on the right to education, Article 19 of the UN Convention of the Rights of a Child, and the removal of harmful practices affecting girls in schools, Article 21 of the AU Treaty on the Welfare of the Child. There is a need of a combination of cohesive and aligned strategies, policies, and legal frameworks that tackle social, economic, religious, and cultural hindrances towards the progression of children and young people's rights. Children and young people, like me, are not just numbers on issues affecting them, but are essential developmental partners enforcing diversity and have the capacity to actively participate effectively. A heartfelt thanks to our distinguished speakers, panelists, participants, and attendees in the next days who are to share through expertise and knowledge presentation, and discussions, having to informatively engage, to have new perspectives and ideas as well as best practices as we continue to curb the challenges and reduce the percentage of child marriage. To the dedicated organizing committee, Girls Not Brides, Plan International, UNFPA, UNICEF, SADC PF, HEVOs, and partners, thank you for your tireless efforts and planning for the smooth execution of the meeting, and my hope is an active participation, engagement to have holistic, comprehensive, collaborative success. I am very thankful to all for your inclusive, well-elaborated participation to have such a convening, and wish to acknowledge to see progress of the conceited, comprehensive efforts in achieving the agenda within the region without reservations to gradually move the picture or realities in the grassroots. As eradicating child marriage and protecting children already in marriage is not a civil society fight or government, but includes religious, traditional, political leaders, NGOs, communities, media, overall stakeholders, and policymakers at all levels. With these few remarks, gratitude, and I hope we meet the aim and objective not only of the meeting, but equally implement the different success through the synergies that will be strengthened and sustained. Thank you so much, and God bless. Good afternoon.
Well done indeed. Thank you very much. Another round of applause for her. That was very well said. Thank you, Margaret. Okay, so before we break for lunch, a quick announcement from UNFPA. Wamba, if you please come and make your announcement.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am very grateful to the organizers, my colleagues from Girls Not Brides, from UNICEF, from Plan Zambia, and the regional office. And indeed, on behalf of everyone at UNFPA, we'll have a side event tomorrow, and we would want to have all of us RSVP for this side event. And we'll share the program in the course of this afternoon, but if we can have the RSVP done by maybe 6 p.m. today, that will help us. The side event is all about implementation. I think our colleague, the youth ambassador, said it well. So we are going to look at the law that we have in Zambia now from two fronts. One is the fact that it is there. The second part is working with child helplines across the region. So we'll definitely have the Tanzania helpline and the Zambia helpline work together to put this side event for us. So please let's RSVP for that. Then the other arm of this side event will be to do with the law itself and how best we can implement and ensure that everyone at community level understands. So that will be some body of work that we'll do with the civil society network on ending child marriage, so that everyone in the community has an idea. They have an understanding that the law exists, and the letter of the law stands that marriage will be where two parties are over the age of 18. So please let's RSVP. We have a table at the back, and my colleague, Madam Florence, this is Nkua from Lifeline, Childline here in Zambia, will help us with that. She's seated over there, but myself and a few other colleagues will also be at the back. Okay, so we have Madam Florence, also have Michael, our colleague from Tanzania. We are working together. I think we appreciate, and I'll end with this, that for a lot of us, Zambia, Malawi, to some extent Namibia, we understand the challenges, Shangombo, Kazungula, those districts on the border. We understand the challenges of Nakonde, Chama, Katete, Chipata, all these districts on the border, that we have issues with child marriage across borders. Okay, so that's what I wanted to emphasize. Thank you very much for your attention.
All right, so thank you very much. Please RSVP for the side event. At this point, we will break for lunch. We will take an hour and about 15 minutes, 17 minutes to be precise, and we'll come back at 2:30. So we'll break now and come back at 2:30. The order in which we'll do it is we'll have the dignitaries in the front exit, and they will follow Elena standing over there. Elena, please come through the center.